Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Feminine Ascendant Circle podcast. And today I am so thrilled to have our very special guest on. Her name is OlanikeeOsi, and she is the founder and CEO of Goddess Detox. And just to share with you guys a little bit, I've been following her work for the past few years, and her products have changed my life. So I'm very excited to have her on today to talk a little bit more about what she does, the kind of products she offers, and the kind of wisdom and knowledge that she also shares with her audience. So I'd love to have you speak a little bit on this for our audience. Thank you for being here today.
Everybody that's watching and listening, I'm really glad to be here. Thank you, Love, for inviting me on your podcast. And so with my company, Goddess Detox is a holistic women's wellness company. And what I sell so far are products that are self-love inspired, that really help women physically, spiritually, and emotionally detox. And of course, bring more things into their lives, because once you detox something out of your life, you're really clearing and opening up the way for more to come to you. And so currently we have our Goddess Vaginal Detox Pearls, which is an all-natural vaginal detox cleanse that women insert into their vagina. And there's a whole purging process that happens with that. And I'm going to go more into that, but I just want to go into my other products, and I know that's a lot. A lot of people are like, well, what's that?
Yeah, she just dropped a love bomb.
Another product is our Queen's Vaginal Steam, which is our in-home vaginal steaming set that comes with the herbs as well as the seat, so that women can steam in the comfort of their own homes in a very convenient manner. And then we just released our latest product, which is our Cleanse That Negativity Away spray, which is basically like a Florida water or an energy cleanser that women can use to cleanse the room and spaces and themselves that they're in. And it's very convenient. I have a bottle right now. It's very small, and you spray it. You can carry. You can go on the planes with this. If anybody else is still traveling, you can. It's the size for airplane travel. And I came out with that because I know that I have my own cleanser that I make at home, and I usually spray my home just to cleanse out the negative vibes.
Yeah.
Just making sure the vibes are right. And I just thought, like, sometimes when I travel internationally, you know, I'm just like, I can't bring a big bottle of Florida water, you know, so I'm just like, This is like the perfect thing. And also it's made with the extracts of different flowers like jasmine and basil and rosemary, as opposed to where Florida water is very synthetic. And so I want to get back to the point of Florida water, which is floral water. And so that's pretty much what we have so far with Goddess Detox. But it's really a company that's really meant to help women understand their own power, which is why a lot of the products that I do have, I do urge women to speak over and pour their intentions into the product, just because I understand the power of the word. I understand the power of the tongue, and I want women to remember the power of their tongue, but I also want women to get back to source, which is their vaginas and their wombs, which is why I did start out with having 2 products that were primarily vagina and womb focused, and now I'm more so expanding in different ways, offering new products that may not be vagina and womb focused, but still very much show self-love.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. And by the way, I'm obsessed with your Goddess Detox Pearls. Yeah. They changed my life. Love the vaginal steam. Ladies and feminine beings, it's like tea. It's like very special magical tea for your vajayjay. I love it.
Yeah, I like that.
And I didn't even know what it was until I saw it on your website like a couple of years ago. And I was like, this sounds fascinating. I must try it. And it's also amazing and life-changing. So thank you for all of the gifts that you were sharing in the world. And I think it's really beautiful. When I read the instruction packet for the first time for the Goddess Detox Pearls, and I saw everything you said about speaking the intention and speaking the affirmation, and I feel like, you know, that's just, I personally want to be doing more of that, like intentionality in every single act that I do every day. And so that's just like a way of living life. If we're wanting to make a significant change, you know, words are powerful. Words are to me like magic. And so to be able to speak those loving words while doing a practice like that, I think it just amplifies it to, you know, in such a great degree. So so thank you so much for what you were offering to the world. I'm so excited that I get to ask you questions today. And so
doing
cool when I also see you have a lot of like knowledge about herbal things, which I love as well. I'm very like spiritual, and I love those sorts of things. And I love what you speak into on the spirituality side. So blending that like practical, like herbal knowledge with the spirituality of things. So I'd love to ask you now, like what are some of your favorite self-care, self-love, like practices that you would recommend? Maybe just kind of like everyday things you would recommend to a feminine being looking to either start her self-care practice if she hasn't really been looking at it, or like up level it.
So I first want to get on what you were talking about, which I thought was a really great point, just about wanting to have intentionality with like everything that you do, right? I thought that was really, really great. And it just confirmed something for me personally. So I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. So but getting back to the power of the words. So we're going to talk about affirmations, but the power of the words and the intention, right, behind something that you're doing. It very much so is magic. It is what it is. And so for me, when I talk about understanding the power of the words, understanding the power of the tongue, I'm understanding the energy that I hold. I'm understanding my own personal power. I'm understanding that the words that I speak are very powerful, especially if I have that energy and intention behind it. And so what I like to share for somebody that's just now learning about maybe like energy and how that works is like, imagine the words that I'm speaking as like a rainbow coming out of my mouth, right? And because it gives a good visualization. So imagine a rainbow's coming out of my mouth, and imagine that not only do I have this body, but I have my energy body. And so there's body that I have outside of me that you cannot physically see, but it's outside of me. Yeah. And so if I'm speaking words of power or affirmation, which is what I like to call affirmations, I like to define are basically prayers over your life, prayers over yourself, words that are going to, words that are in a positive aspect, not words that tear me down, right? So I like to say, I affirm your wellness, or, you know, do affirmations of confidence and self-love. And so if I'm speaking these words and these words are like a rainbow coming out, that rainbow is interacting with my energy body. So if I'm saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. If I'm saying I'm confident, if I'm saying I'm beautiful, I'm putting those words into my energy body, which is going to react with my personal energy. So I tell people this because a lot of people may say, well, I don't really believe in the words that I'm saying. And I say that's totally okay. At some point, the words that you're saying, because you're speaking them, they're going to shift the energy within your body as well as shift your mindset. So at some point, the words you may be saying may come off to like a lie, right? A really great lie that you want to believe. But you may not feel that way. You may not feel like I can believe this. But at some point, that's going to shift your energy and shift your mind. You're going to notice that you're going to start doing different things. You're going to notice that your behavior changes, right? So let's say that I'm somebody that may let people run all over me, right? May let people run all over me. They can say whatever they want. Being a people pleaser, and people may not be treating me very well, but I'm still in their life, right? Because I feel like I may need them. And so I may need to understand my own personal value. I may need to understand, like, I'm worthy. I'm worth more than this, right? And I may start saying affirmations towards that. And as I'm saying affirmations towards that and keeping that up as a practice, then if somebody that I'm interacting with doesn't seem to understand my value and my worth in their life, it will be a little bit more easier for me to step out of their life than it would have been maybe in the past. And so for me, the first thing that I would say for women when it comes to working on or up-leveling their self-love is to speak better about yourself. Start saying your daily affirmations. Start saying your daily prayers. Like I had mentioned, I look at affirmations as prayers over your life. And sometimes I say this, it's called like pray for your damn self or affirm your life. When you're doing that, you're bringing yourself energetically into alignment. You're bringing yourself energetically into alignment. So if I'm a person, like I said, that is a people pleaser, and I know that about myself, and I don't necessarily like that about myself, what affirmations can you say? What is the opposite? What do you think you need to say for yourself to start creating those words and start speaking those words to yourself, looking in the mirror, saying those words, and being open being open, that's going to help shift your energy and bring you into alignment to how you truly want to be. That's my first one. And if you need any help with daily affirmations, definitely download my app, Selfish Babe, which is a free self-love app that sends you a daily affirmation and self-love reminder a day. Okay, so when you wake up, you'll get a daily affirmation that you can say right when you look at your phone, because I know a lot of us look at our phones. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. A lot of people talk about don't look at your phones in the morning. I don't really agree with that. I think if you have some positive stuff on your phone, then look at your phone, like the Selfish Babe app.
Yeah. Harness the power of the phone. Why not?
What
You're going to do it anyway. Make it good.
Exactly.
Harness the power of the phone. I love it. I love that.
That's just one thing. I have more. If you want me to share more, I just wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on it real quick. I totally agree with you. You know, it's interesting. It can feel a little like, I think that our affirmations or new practices can feel a little triggering sometimes. And it's almost like a new workout. Like you go into it, you're like, I don't know about this. And even maybe during it feels awkward or challenging, but after you've seen the results, after you've had the workout, usually, I mean, unless you've had some sort of injury, right?
Yeah.
Want to avoid those. But like, let's say the workout went as expected. Normally after a workout, you're like, oh, I'm glad I did that. And no, it wasn't so bad. And look, I got it done. And, you know, usually there's like a feeling of accomplishment after it. I think especially after saying affirmations for a while, the repetition, like you said, it kind of starts to wear down the resistance in your mind, in your energy body too. And I think that can be a really good and beautiful, you know, way to up level. So I definitely agree with that. And there's something that I also do for me, like I love to trick my brain because I notice that I can really strongly resist some things, some new concepts sometimes, like so some things that I will do sometimes are like hypnosis or subliminals, right? Like I want to trick the crap out of my mind and not like have to even like, it's like my lazy method of doing my affirmations. It's like something that feels extra challenging for me. I'm like, I'm going to listen to this on repeat in a way that my conscious mind doesn't even know it's like happening. And then it's like just another way of getting it done, you know, but I love that. And I definitely think it's the first.
I have a question for your like hypnosis and stuff. Like, would you be able to give an example of like what like what was a really strong thing that you resisted and you started doing hypnosis for?
Yeah. So actually, you know, it's a great question. So to your point, I think, so I definitely have the like recovering people pleaser thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the worthiness conversation still comes up occasionally when it comes to like anytime, I think what like a core wound, that's a core wound for me. And so anytime I'm about to make a big up level in my life, I'm like, wow, I don't know if did I bite off more than I could chew here? That's when I double down on the affirmation and say, you know, okay, what do I need to up level in my practice right now? What do I need to up level in my affirmations to get myself to the next level? Because I need a little boost here right now in order to be able to feel aligned with this next thing that I'm looking to create. So yeah. Nice. And here, an example of, there's a hypnotist that I really like. I've worked with a few, but I think my favorite recent one, I don't know if you've heard of her. Her name is Marissa Peer, but she does like a rapid something something or other. It's like RTT, and it uses like the power of rapid eye movement.
Okay.
And I'm really digging that, but I've tried all sorts of things. I'm always open to new methodologies. You know, like I said, if I think I'm up leveling to the next level and I want to try something new, like I'm always open to trying new things. So
what's the rapid eye movement thing?
I know, it's so interesting. So when the beginning of the hypnosis, and her hypnosis, like she's had some really good results from people like reporting amazing results, like they corrected their eyesight and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
Cool.
Right? I was like, that's really interesting. So I think it's like the power of, you kind of like instigate the power of REM on your own by looking up.
Yeah.
As you start the hypnosis, and then she gets you into a relaxed state and you automatically go into REM instead of waiting for it as part of your natural sleep cycle. So you get into a certain like brainwave state. Yeah. And then once you're in, I think it's an alpha brainwave state, I think. And once you're there, it just becomes easier to like take in, like, I guess, become more of a sponge in your mind for the, so I freaking love it. I love it.
That's so cool because a lot of, like, again, like even like, let's say affirmations was really difficult for you. I think that what you're doing, the hypnosis, that really working of like the subconscious mind, right? Because it's like, as you mentioned, your conscious mind, it don't know what's happening, but things are gonna be changing. But it doesn't know, so we're just gonna keep it on a low. I really like that. That's cool, super cool. I have to look up that rapid.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, you know, I use all the things, like I use affirmations as well, but like if I feel really challenged around something, I might be like, oh, you know, my conscious mind is like kind of the gatekeeper right now. It's being kind of a jerk. It's not letting me in. Like I'm going to attack it with something else, right? Hypnosis, subliminals, what have you. And then I make my own subliminals too. I actually like record my own, and then I have them like going in the background, like underneath really relaxing music, like rain and stuff like that. So
I like that. I need to, I know I have some like affirmation recordings, but I want to get back into it. I haven't used it like with soothing sounds. It's like kind of like jazz beats, kind of.
Oh, cool. Well, that's
I would
fun
like
too,
to try it like with like nature sounds. That sounds nice.
Yeah. And then I can, I listen to it and I can actually like have it in the background while I'm sleeping. So it just goes all night.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. Yay. I love all of our sharing right now. So much collaboration. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt as you were talking about the second thing that you're going to talk about with it.
One of the other things that I would really love for women or from their bodies to really start doing are their spiritual baths, which is very important, your spiritual baths. And so for me, what my spiritual baths are, but the way I look at them, or spiritual washes, because sometimes when I say baths, people imagine a bathtub, and sometimes you can't do it in the bathtub, but you want to say in the bathtub, because some people are like, well, what if you don't have a bathtub? You don't need to have a bathtub to do a spiritual wash. So what it is that you're taking some herbs that have some really wonderful properties. You're going to rinse the herbs in some spring water. You're going to say your affirmations and prayer over them, like what is it that you want? What is it that you're removing? If you're doing cleansing one. And then you're going to take that water and rub it over your body. So I'm going to break this down. And so the reason why these are deemed spiritual baths is because they are taking note of what you don't see physically. And so the herbs, just like the goddess vaginal detox pearls or the steams, they embody an energy. Certain herbs have certain properties, right? That's just what it is. Certain herbs have certain properties. So what you're doing is saying, hey, herb, I'm acknowledging that you're more than just a rosemary. I'm acknowledging that you're a very protective herb. That if I want some protection, I'm going to use some rosemary. So I'm acknowledging your energy body. And then I'm also acknowledging my own personal power, my energy body, the words that I speak. Remember that rainbow going, so imagine that rainbow going into that bowl of herbs and water. So you're putting your own energy, mixing with the herbs and their energy, and you're rinsing that over your body. And what you're doing is you are cleansing off your energy body. Because we are out in the world, whether you're at home, I know a lot of us are virtual, but even in interacting with different people, you may have a different mood. Even scrolling through Instagram, watching something, if I watch something really heavy, I have to do something, whether it's some sage or some spray, I have to do something because I can't just go to sleep knowing that I just watched something so heavy. And so you want to keep clearing out your energy body. And so when it comes to spiritual baths, that's what you're doing. And so, for example, I always give out this very basic spiritual bath recipe, which is basil. So if you can get fresh basil or dried basil, I really recommend fresh basil. And you're going to get spring water. This is not filtered water. This is not tap water. This is spring water. So buy a spring water bottle. And then you're going to get a bowl. You're going to put the basil in the bowl, and you're going to put the water in the bowl. Basil is a wonderful cleansing herb, protective herb, prosperity herb. It's like a good herb all around, but it's really, really good at cleansing off negative energy or attachments that really don't serve you, right? Been feeling down, maybe feeling anxious, you probably want to get some basil. But if you've been feeling really anxious, you want to add some lavender in there, because lavender is known to help with anxiety as well. And so let's say you get all of that in a bowl, you're going to say, for example, I'm cleansing off negative unwanted energy. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling high vibes, whatever you want to speak into that bowl. And then you're going to take your hands, mix it in the water, and you're going to kind of massage the herbs like this in your hand. And what you're trying to do now, you are just making sure that that essence of the basil is getting into the water. So eventually your water is going to turn like a slight green. You'll see that. And you're going to continue to have your intention and your wonderful prayer into that water. Then you're going to go into the bathroom. You can, if you want to actually take a real bath, you can fill your tub up, put a little bit of this water in the bath, sit in the bath, do your stuff, and then take a shower. So if whether or not you take the bath, take a shower, and then this mixture now, what I like to do is I like to take that basil with the water and I like to rub it over my body. So that herb and the water is going all over my body down to my feet, and I'm rubbing in a downward motion, signaling that I want to, symbolizing that I want to remove, take off. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm going to get a towel and pat dry very lightly. Some people can air dry, but you can pat dry. And I'm going to put on something white. White, just representing peace. Representing peace. You just cleanse yourself. During that evening, you don't want to really talk to a lot of people. You don't want to watch anything that's gonna like trigger you or anything like that. You just kind of want to stay in that zone of peace. And then you may have some dreams that night. You know, then you can have a journal next to you in your bed and write down your dreams if you have any. Oh, I forgot the best part. Now that water in that bowl, the best part is to take it and pour it over your head. And it's going to be cold and it's going to feel so good. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't know that I needed that. And you needed that. So that's, and I say pour over your head because a lot of us have these thoughts and these doubts or these fears that pop up. And so when you're pouring it over your head, you're symbolizing, I'm washing this away. I'm washing these thoughts that don't serve me away so that you can have better thoughts that do serve you, continue to pop up rather than self-doubt, right? You would rather have self-belief than self-doubt.
Yeah.
So that's another, like, people, like, seriously, like, getting into our spiritual baths is very important.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. And I've seen you post a lot about herbal recommendations and whatnot. This is like, from the beginning, it sounds like this, like, beautiful concoction, like a spiritual meal. You get to like put yourself, like your energy from yourself in this like beautiful basil and the lavender, and it's like, oh, what are we cooking up? We're cooking up spiritual transformation. I freaking love it. I'm a terrible cook, by the way, but I love herbs.
Well, you'll probably be a wonderful spiritual herb cook. Okay, with your stuff. Okay.
This is the type of cooking I could get into. The other stuff, you know, leave that for someone. Leave that for someone who's good at it. But I don't know, for some reason, I can do baking and I can do like the spiritual, you know, mixtures. Maybe it just speaks to me in a different way than regular cooking does.
Yeah.
But I think that's so cool, and I just wanted to call out some of the things you said as well, because you mentioned this, these ingredients, right? Basil is great for prosperity, cleansing, protection. And you said something about, did you say something about rosemary, or was that in the Florida water? I think
no, rosemary. Yeah, it is in the Florida water too, because I picked the specific herbs from my Florida water. But rosemary is a very protective herb.
Protective, right? Yeah. I definitely remember you saying something about that, and I was like, yeah, that's really powerful. So I love that, using your energy, infusing it into and working with the plant energies and creating something for your healing and your next step. And by the way, I agree with you. I don't know if I identify as empathic or highly sensitive, but I totally do. And I can't watch things like normal people do and like just feel okay. Like I'm that like 15 to 20% of the population. I don't know if you resonate with this, but like if I watch something scary, it probably bothers me the rest of the day.
Oh, wow.
So some sages need.
So then, girl, you need to carry around that cleansing into the whisper. Okay, because it's so handy. Like, like for me, like, let's say I was really intrigued, right? Let's say that maybe I knew that I couldn't handle certain things, but I'm really intrigued and I really want to watch this. So then I do. Yeah. Then maybe you would have your spiritual bath ready, and that evening before bed you would take it, or maybe you'd have your sage and your palo, or maybe you'd have your spray ready. So then I like to do, because I know I can feel it here a lot, I like to rub my heart area or spray my heart area and then wipe, because that's where I feel it the most. So maybe for you, wherever you feel it the most is where you want to cleanse.
Yeah, I definitely need to pick some of that up too. But yeah, I like what you're saying too. So you're saying, if you know you're going to go into a situation, and sometimes we don't know, but we often know, like, hey, I'm going to have to, okay, perfect example. Like, if I'm going home to visit my parents, I don't watch the news, but I
Yeah.
know they do. And if I have to walk in and watch the news with them, I know after about 5 minutes, I'm just going to be like, I need to get out of this room right now, you
Yeah.
know, or if I'm kind of like forced to like watch something, or maybe there's a night where I, for some reason, felt compelled to watch like a scary movie, even though I don't like feel good after.
Yeah.
You know, you ever get sucked into one of those? Or
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, this like Zombieland or something. I don't know. And then I'm like, I don't know why I did that, but now I have to like clean this energy.
Yeah.
Right. So this is perfect for that, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was watching, I forgot the name, but it was basically, people call it conspiracy, but they only say that to discredit, but just about
Right.
like media and pedophilia and like all of that happens in the movie. And I wanted to watch it because I wanted more understanding and I wanted to know what is actually going on. But after I watched that, I had to cleanse my space because it was very unsettling, you know? But I wanted to get the information, you know?
I hear you. There's so much information going on right now. And I think, so that's, I think for me, what I found to be one of the most important things for my personal self that I can do is watch my consumption. And when I
Yeah,
talk about consumption, I'm not just talking food. I'm talking like, what am I experiencing in my environments? What's on the, you know, what's on my computer right now or my
yeah,
screen? And just really keeping an awareness of that, because I know that too much can really just kind of like bring me down. So I'm like, okay, how can I like get in and get out with this information?
yeah,
But
yeah,
sometimes in order to really have awareness of that, of something, you can't just get in and get out. There's like, you know, with what you're talking about, right? With the
yeah,
pedophilia, and I think you're probably referring to like the Jeffrey Epstein and like what
yeah,
they're talking about with all the Hollywood people
yeah,
and politicians and other folks.
yeah,
Um, it seems very plausible given what we know about, I don't know if you saw that Netflix special, but I mean, they just kind of skimmed the surface with that. And then there's been all sorts of other information coming
yeah.
out. Like you said, with, you know, people are calling conspiracy theory, but I think some of it's definitely true,
Oh,
right?
no, it is.
If not all of what they're saying. People, you know, because I'm like, well, some of it, I'm like, okay, so some of this seems to have like a ton of evidence and some of it's like a little bit questionable. There's a lot of it that is definitely true, and you can't just like walk in and walk out quickly to get all that information. Like I had to do the same thing. I had to sit
Yeah,
and watch that Netflix special for a few hours, whatever it was, and it was disturbing as fuck. It was really, really unsettling. And if you have any trauma, you know, it just stirs up more shit there too.
yeah,
Personally, that was not fun for me.
yeah.
So having to cleanse after that, I mean, there's not enough stage for 2020 in general. There really is not, but we do our best. But load up on the Florida water, just like you're gonna be like sold out because people are like, there's not enough, there's not enough sage. Where's my cleansing? I need my cleansing like all the time because there's always
Yeah,
something coming up lately.
yeah,
But seriously, I think it's a really good practice to really, we can't control what is always happening in our environments, and just recognizing that, yeah, sometimes we have taken this information, especially lately, like what is up with this year, right? And when that's the case, like just take care, you
yeah,
know, go back, do the spiritual bath,
yeah.
cleanse
It's
the space.
important. It's just important with everything going on for people to start focusing on themselves as well
Yes.
as what's going on in the world. Like I like the movements, I like the community, everything going
Yes.
on.
Yes.
But with it is self-care. That's very important because it's like we have to stay up in our vibrations because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing and we'll continue to see for a little while
Yeah.
may pull us down and we
Yeah.
want to stay up. And so whatever it is that you need to do for yourself that helps you stay up, like you mentioned, I don't really watch the news either because I don't need to be watching it. I understand, I have an understanding of what's going on in the world, so I know, but I'm not
Right.
gonna sit there all day. It's already being bombarded. Like I'm not trying to look at that every day, all day. So
Yeah.
that's gonna keep me up. So what's gonna keep me
Yes.
up? Turning off the news and doing something else, that's gonna keep me up.
Yes, I agree 1,000%. I can't imagine like literally a more perfect time for you and I to be doing this interview than right now, you know, because self-care, it could not be more important given
Yeah,
everything going on in the world. And to your point, staying as high vibrational as possible, because there's so many things like that have the potential to pull us down right now. Like get what you need information wise, and then like just keep going back, because I mean, and I don't know about you, but this year has been really interesting. Like I've had a really good year, but just witnessing everything going on in the world, and yeah, my God, I mean, it's been such a interesting and challenging time, and I feel like the whole world is going through a massive like collective healing. Like the world it's in is shit right now. The world is like going through some stuff. We are cleaning up on a massive scale, and as it needs to be. Sometimes things have to get like challenging or whatever before they get better. But in the meanwhile, we don't want to all like lose our stuff, getting through it, right? So I think these things are so important during this time. It's like, oh my gosh, how just return to yourself. So I absolutely love that. So thank you. So any other self-care, self-love practices you recommend, especially given what we talked about now?
So another one that I really do recommend is the vaginal steaming. And so like with the goddess detoxes, Queen's vaginal steam and throne system, for some women that are like, well, I don't want to insert anything into my vagina, aka the goddess detox pearls, which is a vaginal suppository. I always recommend vaginal steam, because that is one way that we can still get the herbs within our womb and within our vaginal walls. And so like why that's so important is that it helps women reconnect with their selves, with their energies, with their creative center, which is the womb. And so a lot of times when it comes to the vagina and the womb, our partners see it more often than we do, or our gynecologists see it more often than we do, right? So when you hop out the shower, you may be able to look frontly and you may see, the front side of your vagina. I'm talking about the underneath the part where you have the labia and the lips and all of that. A lot of times women are not looking there often. It's often their partners or it's their gynecologist. And so for me, when it comes to women getting back to themselves, one part that we cannot ignore is our vaginas and the relationship that we have with our vaginas. And how can we reconnect the relationship that we have with our vaginas? And so in my book, I have written a book called The Power of Looking at Your Yoni. And that is about women taking a mirror and looking at their vagina. And you can find that on Amazon, just The Power of Looking at Your Yoni. It's really a way of reconnecting. It's giving your affirmations, right? I have specific yoni affirmations that women can take and look at their vaginas with the mirror and speak those affirmations into the vagina to empower them, right? That's just so that we have a better relationship. It's not like, oh, only my partner knows my vagina, only my gynecologist knows my vagina. No, how do you feel? How do you feel connected to your vagina? If you don't feel connected, how can we get reconnected? If we're dealing with sexual trauma, how can we deal with the past sexual trauma, right? How can we have a better relationship with our womb and our yonis? It is by doing that. And so apart from looking at your vagina, the yoni steams now. So let's say that you got the yoni steam, right? And you have the seat and you have the hot water, and you take the hot water and you put the herbs and the hot water together. Again, the herbs have an energetic vibration. And not only do they have an energetic vibration, they have healing properties, healing benefits, right? And so when we're talking about the certain herbs that we may have some herbs that are really, really good for the reproductive system, really good to help ease menstrual cramping, lessen the cramping, different things like that, aiding in fertility, aiding in libido, aiding in your natural lubrication, right? Because some women experience that over time. It's like, well, I don't feel like I'm as wet as I want to be. Well, then if you try a vaginal steam, you may notice that there may be an increase in wetness. But vaginal steams are something that is an indigenous practice that has been done for a very long time, very popular in Asian cultures, African cultures, and Caribbean cultures. They go by different names. Okay. So now what Goddess Detox is doing, and what I'm doing, is reconnecting women to an indigenous practice in a modern way, which is why I have the in-home vaginal steaming set that's very simple. One method is you can put the seat on top of a clean toilet. If you just want to sit on the toilet and cover your lower area with a towel and sit, that's cool. Another method, which is actually my favorite method, is when you take the seat and put it on the floor. What I like to do is I like to have a full mirror in front of me. I like to take the herbs and the water I like to speak over the water. So maybe it's like, I want to love myself a little bit more. You know, maybe the affirmations or the prayer, the intention I'm putting is that I'm loving myself. I am my first priority, like different things like that, right? I'm setting that intention. And then I'm going to get on top of the throne with my knees bent. I'm on the ground. And I'm going to cover my lower half with a towel, or maybe I have a long skirt. And I'm just going to sit. And I'm going to look in the mirror. And maybe some affirmations come to me that I speak to myself during that time. I had an experience where I was doing my vaginal steam and I had the mirror in front of me. I decided to make my self-love candle. I forgot what they call it, a candle that has the herbs on it. I forgot the name right now, but I added like honey and roses and prayed over it and I lit it. And so that candle is being lit for myself. And then I'm looking at myself in the mirror. And when I'm looking at myself in the mirror as I'm doing my vaginal steam, some affirmations are coming up to me in the form of song. And so now I'm singing these affirmations because these are the affirmations that are coming to me in this time because my higher self knows what I need. Like I know exactly what I need. And you know exactly what you need. A lot of times we don't feel like we know what we need is because we don't take enough silent time for ourselves. And I talk about this for a lot of women, is like the silence can help you because it's like you're not focused on anybody around you. Sometimes it's like you can't focus because other people are around you. But if you take that time, that quiet time and that silent time to yourself, things are going to start coming to your mind. You may want to start writing these down because these things that are coming to your mind are very important. Apart from like the work and the business, once we get past that in our mind, what is the core things? And so as I sat in that vaginal steam, I had affirmations of basically success doesn't have to look like hard work for me. It doesn't have to look like busy. And I can define that for myself because I tell people all the time, my success is not being on my phone 24/7, not being able to hold a conversation. That's not successful to me. And so it's like understanding that things can come to me without me having to work extremely hard for them, right? That's something that I have to reprogram and continue to reprogram in my mind through the affirmations that came to me at that time. And the way that I keep that up is to keep those affirmations and to reinforce that into my mind and my body. And so not only am I, you know, having that energy going and flowing through my vagina and my womb area, when you're sitting on top of the steam, the herbal properties of that steam is in the steam from the herbs, and that is going into your vagina and your womb. Those properties are helping your vagina and your womb. So a lot of people, like when they think of like herbs in the vagina, it's like completely foreign to them. It's like, no, herbs are not supposed to be in vagina, no matter in what way, shape, or form. But with the vaginal steam, you're bringing the herbal properties, the direct herbal properties into your womb, which is why some women, like they've experienced PCOS, horrible cramping, cycles that are not synced. So maybe they're like, every 3 months I get my cycle when it's really usually every month. And so for a woman like that, she may use the Queen's Vaginal Steam by Goddess Detox and notice that, wow, her period came the next day and it wasn't as much cramping. Why? Because of the herbs and the herbal properties being able to go direct. A lot of times when you're speaking with a gynecologist and different things like that, they're going to recommend what they know. What they know is pharmaceutical drugs. That's what they're taught, and that's how they're told you to recommend. And so when a woman says like, well, my gynecologist doesn't recommend a vaginal steam or the Goddess Detox Pearls, they're not going to recommend that right now. Maybe in the next 10, 15 years, you know, maybe even sooner. But at the moment, they're taught to recommend pharmaceutical drugs. So that's what they're going to tell you. And they're going to tell you, no, don't try this. But I'm telling you, I have over 1,200 reviews. I have so many video reviews of women that are using the Queen's Vaginal Steam along with the Goddess Vaginal Detox Pearls, who could not get pregnant, are now pregnant, conceived very wonderfully, okay, had horrible cramps to the point of can't go into work throwing up. I've had a friend like that before. And so anytime her cycle would come, she would be out of commission. Imagine every month being out of commission because of something that naturally comes to you. You would grow to hate your cycle, right? And you would probably grow to hate your womb or your vagina. So imagine the type of relationship that person has with their womb and their vagina. So then now they take the pearls or they try the vaginal steam and they're like, oh my God, that helped and that worked. So it's like, it may seem foreign at the moment, herbs and vagina, but it's not a foreign concept. It's something that has been practiced in indigenous culture and women's tradition for a very, very long time. And all my company is doing and all I'm doing is bringing it back to the modern woman, bringing these practices back because we need to be doing that. honoring ourselves. How do we do that? A simple vaginal steam is one way to do that. Not only are you getting the silent time, but you're also honoring your vagina. You're being able to honor your creative space. You're being able to clear energy out, right? Because I talk about this too, and people laugh, but I call it detoxing your ex with the goddess vaginal detox pearls or the queen's vaginal steam. Again, everything is energy. So it's like when you're having sex with a partner, you're exchanging energy. And as women, we're receiving energy. No matter the type of sex orientation you are, you're still receiving energy. And so it's like, well, how can I clear that out? Maybe you had a bad breakup. Maybe you want to let go of that tie to that old partner. Having a vaginal steam, doing the goddess detox pearls with the intention of breaking that connection. And I've had women who have used the goddess vaginal detox pearls with the intention of doing that. And they had a dream about their ex packing up their shit and leaving their apartment. What does that symbolize? That symbolizes the spiritual and emotional disconnection that you are working. That symbolizes the woman understanding and knowing her power enough to believe that her intention is working, because that belief is also very important. That adds the vibration, that adds the energy. And so when people talk about, like, ask me about goddess detox, that energy component is very, very, very important. That spiritual, that emotional component is very important. It's not just, we have this physical product, here you go. It's more than that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I agree with you 1,000%. And, hell yes. And I also want to add to that, to your point about the doctors and what they're pushed to recommend, right?
Yeah.
So just a quick story. I had gone on a date with like a dermatologist years and years ago. And given the fact that like I had all these skin sensitivities and I had melanoma when I was a kid and all this stuff, I was like, ooh, if I date a dermatologist, this would be like a dream, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting, actually. I learned on this date with him that I was like, oh, so, you know, do you explore like all sorts of products? Because I was thinking like, well, as a dermatologist, it's more about the science than it is about the products that's being pushed at them, right?
Yeah.
They kind of do things on default. You know, they have these like different, you know, pharmaceutical products that are presented and kind of like pushed on them. And I think a lot of those folks, I'm not saying every dermatologist is like this, but my experience of that dermatologist specifically was like, wow, he's really just kind of going with the flow. And he doesn't seem to really be thinking for himself on this or exploring anything holistic.
Yeah.
And that really started getting me thinking. And at that point I had started to get into holistics. I don't know, this is probably like 8 or 9 years ago now. And I just thought to myself, like, it's really, I don't know how I feel about that. Why isn't this guy exploring anything else? And what I found is, you know, I'm big on the holistic and spiritual stuff as well. Really, really big. You sometimes look up, you know, what people say, like people in the medical industry say about steams and stuff like that. And they're like, well, we're going to discredit it because we haven't studied it, but we're also not going to study it. And I'm like, so wait a second, you're saying that it doesn't work because it hasn't been studied, and yet you refuse to study it. What is that? Like, that just seems incredibly, and I'm not trying to write off the whole, I know that there are good doctors and there are some useful pharmaceuticals or whatever, but generally speaking, my concern about that is really like, it just feels really lazy to me. Why are they not researching, especially because it's a natural method that, you know, could maybe not have a ton of side effects that some of these other drugs do, right? And, you know, to your point, I mean, you have, you know, hundreds of thousands of probably amazing, right? You said like 1,200 amazing reviews of these products. That's one of them, right? I gave you a review on that, a video review. Like, you have the results to back it up. It's like, okay, what else do you need? Women are getting pregnant. They're wetter. They're not having as many cramps. They're not having as many issues. Women are also healing aspects of endometriosis. Is that correct? That is amazing. That is incredible. So many women suffer from issues with endometriosis. And there's a colleague of mine who just started exploring the V-steam stuff as well, because she had endometriosis. And she was looking at the goddess detox pearls, but she was concerned about like, oh, is this going to be gentle enough for me? Because she had a lot of pain, and she was just like, oh, I don't know, I want to be gentle. But yeah, I mean, it heals all sorts of stuff. So to your point, it's like, you have the results, you have very happy and successful clients with this. Like, what else do you need, right?
Yeah.
What else do they need with that? So I just really want to speak into, like, I really appreciate the work that you're doing in the world. I love your products. Now that you're making the Florida water, and I found out that, like, I gotta go get some, especially now. Like,
Yeah.
forget the like sanitizing stuff that I have. Like, I need some Florida water. So like, I've had enough. I feel like my hands are so dry, but just like sanitizing everything. But the practices, and to your point, I mean, the spirituality, I mean, you know, I'm very spiritual too. And I get a lot of people kind of dismissing it sometimes.
Yeah.
And I used to feel sensitive about it, but what I do now is just like, I back it up with facts. Like, we know this works, and it's spiritual, but there's so many practical, like, science-backed studies of the spiritual. And that's where I'm like, okay, so if you don't believe in this, understood, but like the practical science backing of this, like, there's been studies. Are you familiar with Dr. Emoto?
His name sounds familiar, but no, I have actually looked into his work.
Okay. So I think you would love him, by the way, and anyone listening, definitely check this guy out. He actually passed away, but his whole family, like, continues his, like, knowledge. This guy basically found out, and he's like, I forget what kind of scientist, but that the words we speak to water actually change the
I know what you're talking about.
okay, so now you know. Yes, that guy is so cool. And so they did studies on this. They studied what happens to water and how it actually changes the properties when we speak to it positively, when we speak to it negatively, and when we, like, abandon it or ignore it. When we speak to it negatively and we abandon it or ignore it, the properties of the water or the molecules change, and, like, they look kind of like random, and then when we speak positively, they have these, like, beautiful, like, crystalline structures, right? And so it's very interesting. So when you were talking about speaking your affirmations over the water, and then those affirmations essentially come back to you in this form of steam, the first thing I thought of was, like, Dr. Emoto's work, and why the spirituality aspect of this work that you do is so important. Because you are literally speaking those positive affirmations to the water, and the properties are coming back to your vagina. So, yes, that part is so powerful. So for the skeptics out there who aren't really sure, you know, about the spiritual aspect, there have been scientific studies that back exactly what she's saying and why this works. So Dr. Emoto is, you know, fabulous as well. But
yes, definitely.
To share that. So anyway, well, is there anything else? I love having you on. I really, like, wish we could, like, continue this conversation even longer. Maybe we'll have you back on if you're open. But anything else you want to share with our audience today?
I think it's very important, even for the skeptics. I understand some people are more, like, scientific, right? But they can find some science based on what you just shared. It's just very important that whatever your spiritual grounding is, and even if you don't have one yet, to get into it, whatever it is, right? I'm not saying go to a religion. I'm just saying whatever your spiritual practice is. For some people, that's not religion. That could simply mean you believing in yourself because you subscribe to the spirit of you. Okay, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I just want people listening to really start their spiritual practices, whether it's through the affirmations, whether it's through the things that I have shared with you, or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a meditation. Maybe it's reading certain books. But really start working and building that spiritual relationship and that spiritual journey, because we are going to need it now more than ever as we are transitioning. As our earth is transitioning, as our world is transitioning, as our country is transitioning, we're going to need it more than ever. And being able to work in the spiritual, work in your unseen, right? A lot of people say, like, I'm creating something that my third eye sees that has not come into physical manifestation yet, but I know it is, right? Your third eye sees it, you know, the vision you have that has not yet come to pass in the unseen world, right? Just as there is light, there is darkness. Before we came here, we were in a womb. We were in complete darkness, and now we're in light. That's the spiritual world. The spiritual world is in the darkness, but it doesn't have to be bad. And so I just really encourage anybody, whatever spiritual thing you can get onto, get into it. And then also download my free app called Selfish Babe so we can get your affirmations and your self-love reminders daily. That's what I like to say.
Yes, I freaking love it. Oh my gosh. Love it, love it, love it. I have so many more questions for you, but I can't. Or even on for like, yeah. But thank you so much for joining us. And guys, so I'm going to be posting the links to all of the different products we talked about today. So get in on those now. And looking forward to connecting with you again. This is so much fun. This is just so much fun. I'm really glad.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much for coming. Love it. Love it. Love it.